Well, Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang announcing big developments at a trade show in Taiwan today. The chipmaker launching a new system called NVLink Fusion that'll allow companies to build semi-custom AI servers with Nvidia's infrastructure. Huang also saying the company is building software to train and power humanoid robots in factories. Join me now on this, Daniel Newman. He is Futurum's CEO. Dan, great to speak with you this morning. Thanks for making time for us. Talk to me about these developments, obviously the big headlines coming out of this, but also what it signals for Nvidia going forward.
Yeah, good morning, Madison. Thanks for having me. Yesterday was a big, or today, depending where you are in the world, was a really big splash. Jensen Huang spent a good bit of time sort of reiterating where we're at and how quickly this AI is diffusing and the investments that NVIDIA have made and why these are so important to what comes next. But as you mentioned, two of the big announcements, one being NV Fusion, sort of opens up the walled garden. A lot of people have looked at NVIDIA and kind of called it the Apple of the AI ecosystem. Everything has to be all NVIDIA. And while this NV Fusion doesn't completely make it, say, open in the sense of making all of the different chip makers available to the different NVIDIA infrastructures, it does open up CPUs like the one you mentioned from Qualcomm just a moment ago to be able to pair with NVIDIA. And this is powerful in terms of bringing forward NVIDIA's ability to connect these computers together and start to drive innovation outside of the NVIDIA ecosystem, but also back in. As Jensen said, he wants you to buy something from him. On the other side, on the Groot 1.5N and what they're doing with Dream, it's so powerful. We know that the next big frontier of AI is all about being able to connect the physical world and make it, sentient and make it able to understand the world. And with what they're doing with Groot, it's really advancing, bringing it forward. And it's not just about NVIDIA, it's about all the companies building robotics and building humanoids being able to move faster.
So, Dan, thank you for that overview. When you think about these developments from an investor's perspective, are they bullish or bearish for NVIDIA, given that they are sort of shifting away from that walled garden approach?
I think it's largely bullish. Of course, you could say you want everyone all in on NVIDIA. I'm here at Dell Technologies World, and I guarantee we're going to see more all in on NVIDIA. But realistically, that's just not how enterprises and how hyperscalers build. We know that the large hyperscalers are building some of their own custom compute, but they're also building with NVIDIA. Why not open that up so these companies can go big, but still benefit from where NVIDIA is leading? And that's in many areas, including how fast they can connect these machines to one another to deal with this massive volume of data. As we move to these agentic systems, which we are in the earliest days, and then of course, as we do connect the physical world, we're going to need so much compute, so much energy, so much efficiency, and so many tokens that I think trying to close the garden off entirely is probably a risk. And Jensen right now is playing his cards really well, whether it's how he's dealing with the politics of China and the Middle East, or how he's handling kind of opening up just a little bit to make sure that NVIDIA investors have a way to grow, even if not everything is NVIDIA silicon.
Yeah, let's talk about the geopolitical dynamic happening with the company obviously announcing that office in Shanghai. To what extent do you think it is a risk for NVIDIA to be caught up as sort of a non-tariff barrier that can be looped into all of these pending negotiations, primarily with China? Do you think that that is going to continue to be a volatile headline driver for this company?
It is going to be volatile. And this is really a two-sided argument. Jensen and NVIDIA wants to see its AI diffuse to the world. What happened last week with Humane and across the Middle East was really bullish to see Western AI technology being selected by countries that we do have deep partnerships, but also countries that are complicated in politics, in economics. And seeing that, diffuse to the Middle East is a good example. China is going to be the most complicated. We saw it years back with the telco infrastructure. We're seeing it now with AI infrastructure. We've heard it from the Trump administration. The US and the West wants to be the world's supplier of AI innovation. We want to make the chips in the US and not just in Taiwan and not just in the East, but we also want to make sure that it is the US and the West's version of AI that gets diffused, that gets deployed. And that's why those laws changing were so important. So we are really in a battle. China is the only other economy in the world that has the capacity and the intent to do what we are trying to do with AI. And the next multiple decades of economic leadership, Madison, are going to be driven by who wins this AI race. China's going to compete. I would never say they're not going to get there. I think they have every shot of getting there. We're making it difficult. But I believe Nvidia, I believe the West is showing, and I think Jensen's hedging very well in the event that a trade deal, that we're able to find balance in policy and to be able to continue to supply China with something to maybe slow its own innovation, or at the very least continue a partnership on an economic level.
Dan, I hope you can put a bow on this for me, because I've done a lot of reporting on Amazon and their approach to AWS's approach to Bedrock and sort of their focus on having a slew of options for their customers. And when I read these announcements coming out of Nvidia, it sounds Amazonian to me, this focus on multiple models that would be accessible to customers. Walk me through that. Am I reading that correctly? And is that a positive for this AI chip leader to sort of open up more choice for their customers?
I think we're going to continue to see rapid model diffusion. I think we're going to see a number of different players. Of course, NVIDIA's been doing this for a long time. It's had a vision about building out software. It's been building out models to be used for development for a long time. And of course, you've got Bedrock, as you mentioned, and Microsoft is trying to do the same. Google is trying to do the same. Every one of these companies is trying to build a platform that allows choice. We know that very little enterprise data, for instance, has even touched AI yet. But there's a ton of complexity in terms of exposing all that data, making it available to compute, and building abstraction layers that developers and soon AI developers can access more quickly and generate outcomes. So NVIDIA, of course, wants to lead the way. It wants to show what it's capable of doing, especially things like industry focused, like for robotics or like for lithography, LLMs. Amazon, I think, is really trying to expose and make this available to enterprises. And I think there is a need for both. NVIDIA is leading much of the way in terms of overall development of AI. And then these cloud hyperscalers are making it accessible and usable for enterprises to start getting that outcome, which, by the way, is what investors are waiting for, is turning all this AI into something that can be measured through consumption, utilization, productivity, and greater efficiencies.
Dan, always great to get your insights. Thanks for joining us this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you.